Welcome back to Total Disclosure. My name is Ty, and I am so happy to be here today, coming at you live from Boston. Today we have a special show on Total Disclosure. We're joined today by Joe Hoxha, a state representative in Connecticut's General Assembly. He's a researcher and one of the first legislators in the country to push forward UAP-focused legislation. He's born in a post-communist Albania and raised in Bristol, Connecticut. Joe's journey spans public service, academia, and a lifelong curiosity about the unknown, sparked early on by shows like The X-Files and In Search Of. Now he's bringing that curiosity into the halls of government, introducing legislation to formally study the UAP phenomena at the state level. This is a conversation at the intersection of policy and the unknown. My favorite. Let's welcome Joe Hoxha. Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't even ask before.
No,
I was like, yeah,
fine.
I'll get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yep. That's exactly how it's pronounced in the United States of America.
Well, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks for having me on.
I guess first, what most people want to know is why or how someone like you brought this kind of legislation. So maybe we'll just start at your origins and tell me how you kind of even got into thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, no, great question. And yeah, like you said, I've sort of had a lifelong curiosity about the topic. Any documentary, anything worth watching or reading, I would always stay on top of and, make sure I watched the latest documentary or read, the latest article or book that I could, that I could find on the topic, and it's one of these things that for a lot of people, it's still very much so taboo. And I make it, even like with the bill, I made sure to really keep the scope of, the bill and the intent of what we're trying to accomplish as narrow as possible, because, and even though I did, the media still ran with it. And, put flying saucers above my head like I was getting abducted by aliens. And
probably put that X-Files music in there.
Exactly. Called me, people online call me UFO Joe. They,
I think that's taken.
Yeah.
I think that might be taken. I'm not sure.
Talk about little green men. And there's nothing about any of that in the bill. So, I've always tried the reason I bring that up is because I've always tried to make this pursuit as professional and as evidence-based, science-based as possible, and not about, hey, let's just, let our fantasies run wild here. And, it's never really, it's always been a very scientific-based pursuit. But it was sparked by, you said, sort of fictional shows like The X-Files. And, some people can argue that there's components of nonfiction in that show, right? But really what it was, and, we spoke a little bit on the phone about this, was that the second show you referenced there, In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
And I still have like the opening, little music and intro of that show, etched into my memory. And it was such a cool show. And basically like the genesis of this curiosity started on a late summer morning. I was like 7 or 8 years old. It was summer vacation, and I'm home alone. I think maybe my mom was grocery shopping or something like that. And
back then we could be alone.
Yes, exactly right. No babysitters.
Right? His mom was like, "Hey, I'm running out. You good?"
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just flipping through the channels, try to find something to watch, and I come across this show. And it happened to be that on that particular episode, they were discussing some UFO related phenomenon. I don't know if it was, I don't remember the details exactly. It might've been Roswell. It might've been, but I just remember seeing like a flying saucer in the picture. And I was like, whoa, this is really interesting. And why is this on the History Channel? Right? Like the History Channel talks about like presidents and wars and things that are facts, things that are real, right?
100%.
Like I always told this, aliens and UFOs, this is science fiction, in the same category of, the boogeyman and the tooth fairy and, things like that. So why is, this, credible program on this, credible science, history, fact-based channel,
Back
talking
then
about
again.
UFOs. Right.
Back then again, it was
Right.
more history based.
Right.
But
Right.
that is a good observation.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, no. And, I was kind of a bit of nerd, really, a large part of my life, but especially back then. I loved reading about American history. And, like you said, I wasn't born in this country, but I was, pretty much raised here 99% of my life. And I always had like a deep appreciation for American history and American politics.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So you're watching this on the History Channel. Your mom's away.
Yeah.
She already told you UFOs are part of myth, fairy tale, and things that just are legend.
Right.
Then you're seeing it on credible programming.
Right.
Did you ask your mom like, hey, I thought you told me that was bullshit?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't remember the exact details, but it was something like that. Like it was like a question at some point, like, hey, I saw this thing on TV. I thought you said it wasn't real. And, she kind of just brushed it off like, oh, did I say that? Okay, whatever. It's like, it wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? And for many people, it still isn't. And part of what I'm trying to do with this legislation is trying to change that attitude. Right. But yeah, it was just like one of those things like, oh, we got bigger things to worry about. Like, what are you talking about? UFOs.
It's an interesting point too. It is because oftentimes we get ahead of ourselves in thinking this topic is number one, but there are actual issues going on with real like events, like where, kids are getting blown up. It's like, how does UFOs take precedent over something like what's happening in, say, Gaza or, anywhere else, right? How does that take, and it shouldn't, but it also shouldn't get left behind just because of that either, right?
Absolutely.
So there's this weird dichotomy. And there's honestly this weird dichotomy between your story and mine.
Yeah.
The way your mother interacted with you and the way mine interacted with me.
Okay.
Because when I saw what I saw, when I asked her about it, she was like, you saw a UFO.
Wow.
She let me know early on.
Yeah.
We didn't know all the answers.
Oh.
So, you know what I mean? I grew up like, okay, it's on.
Yeah.
Right? Especially after I saw one myself, right? I was like, it's on. And then, so it's weird how our parents can really either open the aperture or close it.
Yeah.
And
Especially
I think
at a young age. Yeah.
And I think a part of the problem and part of the solution now is the older generation versus the newer generation. The stigma's gone away.
Right.
People like you, like myself, who are now in government, we're more open to it.
Yep.
Whereas the World War I guys, World War II guys, rub some dirt in it.
Yeah.
That shit's not real.
Right.
Exactly. You're talking fairy tales.
Exactly. Yep.
Am I on the right lines?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, the general attitude with just, of that time period across many topics, right? Like, and, getting things to change requires a lot of effort. And most of the times it's not going to, the old guard isn't going to be the one to change its ways. It's a new sort of force or movement has to emerge to change the old. The old isn't going to change itself, so to speak. The old way of thinking isn't going to change itself. It really takes, a new way of thinking, a new generation to bring about that change. It's really interesting because, and I've talked to like other people on, about this topic and of many different, generations, ages, walks of life. And, 90% of the time it's like, oh yeah, it's an interesting thing to discuss, but I've never had a personal experience or it's not like you said, there's so many other things, especially nowadays, competing for people's attention, and quite frankly, just more existential, more of, so many more things going on now that are of an existential nature than the UFO topic. But the UFO topic, it's really hard to define. Like, we was talking to Gene earlier. It's so all in. It's we don't know what we don't know, and depending on how far the government is willing to explore this topic and dedicate resources to it, there's really no limit. There's really no limit, and it could be we could be pursuing this and it hits a dead end, or the government does make like a good faith effort to get to the bottom of this, and when we get to the bottom of it, and they come out with
a bottom.
Huh?
There might not be a bottom.
There might not be a bottom, right? And that's the thing. But here's the thing, they can create one and tell us that it is the bottom line, and we almost have like no choice but to like have to take their word for it.
Right.
Right. And the truth could be that there's more to learn and more to see, but we'll never know.
Right.
So I think when you add all that together, I think most people's attitude, the average person's attitude is, like you just said, I'm paying a lot in taxes. I could barely afford to put groceries on the table. I'm having trouble paying my electric bill. There's a war going on in Gaza. There's a war going on in Ukraine. There's a war going on in Iran. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on competing for people's attention. But does that mean that like the medical doctor, because there's a war going on in Gaza, Iran, and Ukraine, needs not to keep up on medical research? Does that mean?
That's a good point.
Right. Does that mean that the rocket scientists, because rocket technology is being used to basically project bombs halfway across the world, that we need not continue to research rocket technology and propulsion technology and transportation technology,
right,
because it could be used for bad?
Right.
Unfortunately, the world's always going to have sucky situations, but we need to, care about those things and bring about positive change. But at the same time, we also need that little, time, that time to kind of expand our horizons, do something that progresses our society. And, it's
take a risk.
Yeah, take a risk.
Right?
Yeah.
Get out on a limb. Question. And taking risk is something, especially in government. So to backtrack on that, because I don't want to go too far deep, what has been the response from your colleagues? Because I know you said the media put UFOs over your head and stuff. Has anyone, like, what's been the general consensus of your colleagues?
I would say majority supportive. But then again, even the ones that have actually supported the bill and even voted for the bill, injected a little bit of humor into the topic, which I don't mind at all. I mean, I'm not somebody to take myself really seriously. And I take this topic seriously, but somebody injecting humor into it is not going to make it any less serious. But, it's sort of like, there was enough support on, without, getting too, political here, but obviously, as here in Massachusetts, and similarly in Connecticut, there's one party that kind of dominates the political scene right now. And it's not the party I belong to. So our bills, the bills proposed by the party I belong to do not, usually get, taken up. Maybe some concepts can be incorporated into, the bills of the majority party. But our like standalone bills usually do not get taken up. And yeah.
However,
yeah,
even at the national level, UAPs seem to be
very bipartisan.
And
absolutely.
So it passed.
Essentially. When this had a public hearing, there was a few people that spoke in favor of it. Nobody really spoke against it. And then when it came time to do a committee vote, there was a couple people that, spoke on the bill, and I was obviously one of them because it was my bill. And, I had people that voted no within my own party. I had people that voted no in the opposition party, and I had people that voted for it in my party, people that voted for it in the opposition party. Enough on both sides that it passed by a pretty good margin, actually. And I would say that, even the people that voted against it, they didn't vote against it because they thought that it wasn't necessarily a topic not worth pursuing at some level. They just didn't agree with the fact that, we would have to pay for this study. And the budget is really tight right now in Connecticut, and we have all sorts of issues with deficits and surpluses and things like that, or lack of surpluses, I should say. And so we're trying to pinch as many pennies as possible here. So a lot of people just viewed it as an economic thing and not worth
right. Going back to that point about this doesn't rank high enough on the list to pay for.
Exactly.
However, it passes. Now, has anyone come up to you and, out of those who voted no, have you seen any inkling of, hey, you shouldn't be dabbling with this stuff?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite. There was a representative that covers an area where there's a military base that supported the bill, co-sponsored the bill, came up to me and said, I've been looking to do something similar to this in the past. Couldn't really quite find the right person on the other side of the aisle to work with on this. And I'm glad you came forward, on your own and introduced something like this. And, this is something definitely worth pursuing, even in its small scope. I've had a lot of people, support the concept. Absolutely.
So quickly, because you opened my mind there. Can you just surmise the bill and what it's going to do for what is the action of it?
Great question. So, basically, so this bill ran through the Appropriations Committee, which, for your listeners that aren't too political, essentially all that means is the committee that decides where the money goes. So most bills start off in another committee first, and then we'll go to approbes, because a bill could have something to do with transportation, it could have something to do with education, it could have something to do with housing, and it starts off as a concept, and then we'll get referred over to appropriations to get a fiscal note. It's called a fiscal note. Basically, just it tells us how much this idea is going to cost.
Right.
So, but mine went straight to appropriations, which was a really good sign, because then there was one less hoop it needed to jump. And essentially, the bill allocates something like $300,000 to the Connecticut. Yeah, I know, big money, right? Yeah, big bucks. $300,000 for the Connecticut Academy of Science and Engineering to basically conduct a study and form a committee to conduct this study. And it originally was going to go to UConn, the University of Connecticut, and it got moved over to CASE, the Connecticut Academy of Science and Engineering.
Right. You think it's better suited there?
Yes, it is, because they're very more, a science-based organization, and they've done things of this scope before, studies of scientific, things. And so I ended up meeting with the guy that's, kind of going to be overseeing this. And basically the money is going to be used, like I was telling you guys before, to hire a very qualified scientist that will then form a committee around, and then we're going to put into place some sort of system to record any anomalous sightings, whether they're on Earth, meaning whether they're on the ground, water, or sky. That's why the bill, I think they called it UFOs, but it was supposed to be UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, because as enthusiasts like myself and you know, these unidentified events could happen in water, could happen on the ground, could happen in the sky. It's not just in the sky, as most people are used to.
In fact, most of it's not. I would argue that most of it, if you were to label it a UFO, you would be limiting the scope of, what you're actually looking at.
Right.
That's why I think Arrow does label everything as, we have no credible evidence of extraterrestrial.
Correct.
It's like, why use that word specifically?
Right.
Because what if they're interdimensional?
Right.
Then you're not lying.
Yeah.
But you're not telling the truth.
Right. Exactly.
So I like what you did there with the land, air, and sea.
Yeah.
Now, you can't go into space because of...
No, right.
Right,
Space
you can't go above 80,000
a
because
domain outside our
domain
purview.
outside
Yeah.
your purview. Okay.
Space is all federal, I guess, owned by the federal government.
And Elon Musk. Yeah. Oh, no, but, okay, so I gotta know.
Yeah.
what sparked this now?
Yeah. So great question. So, you sort of got my Genesis story here with the whole X-Files and In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy and everything. But now, I got to tell you a little bit about this, sort of the recent events that transpired that prompted me to finally say, you know what, I'm going to use my authority to try to shine some light on this subject. So in recent years, obviously we've seen, congressional testimony by people like David Grush, Lieutenant Colonel David Fravor, the whole,
Ryan
Nimitz,
Graves,
Ryan
Elizondo.
Graves. Yeah. So many credible people stepping forward and sharing their UAP stories. And you don't have to take their word for it. They actually have footage. It's not just I, was out in the middle of, the desert and I saw something and it's like, oh, well, you sure you weren't smoking anything? Whatever. These are credible people on the job in uniform reporting these things. So, that it also, even before that, the topic was sort of simmering and now it's kind of blown up. Trump is talking about it, President of the United States is talking about it. Just yesterday, he said something, said that something, major was going to get delivered to the American people soon, as far as, information, what that is. I mean,
I have an inkling.
You do?
I think it's going to be the 46 videos that Rep. Luna requested from the DOW now, Department of War.
Yeah.
And Pete Hegseth, because
Okay.
they've been going back and forth on that. So that's what I think
Yeah,
it is personally.
and that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So with all that movement, like you said,
Yeah.
Continue. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. No. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it could be that. Maybe it's something else. You never know with Trump. He's always a wild card.
Truly a wild card. Truly.
And he's done some great things. And I supported him. But I don't carte blanche support. Anything and everything everyone says. Regardless of. Even if they're somebody within my own party. I am. I look at things and assess with my own eyes and ears and my own brain, eyes and ears. I don't just go with what, with what the party line is, as they say in politics.
You're not a sheep.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I try not to be
respect
at
that.
least. Yeah.
I really do.
And, but on this topic, I mean, he's done more than any other president has. And I give kudos to Obama too. I mean, he broached the topic a little bit. George Bush and Bill Clinton, I think, were asked about it in typical kind of.
Even back to Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We know about Jimmy Carter. He reported to MUFON, I think. Yeah, a sighting he had. And Ronald Reagan had one too when he was governor of California. So it's like, guys, if I'm crazy for putting in a bill to study this subject, then I guess Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, they're all crazy.
Obama is funding a Betty and Barney Hill film.
I heard about that. Netflix, original. Yeah.
And I mean, you got to ask.
Yeah. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, it could be just like good old fashioned venture capitalism and getting into new things.
Yeah.
But there's also a big component to that story of the interracial aspect.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Barney was heavily into the civil rights
right.
movement.
Okay.
So I think he respects that part of their story.
And Obama has done, I think, a Netflix movie before.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, he has actually dabbled into movie production.
But regardless.
Yeah.
And so you made a point earlier that I wanted to touch on. And it seems that whether it's a president, a person like me, like Gene, a producer, or anyone, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, when you have one of these sightings, it fundamentally alters you to a degree where you may have had a certain trajectory prior. After the incident, this is the only topic I've ever seen that will change someone's life course.
Define you almost.
The rest of their life is dedicated to figuring out what that was.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, I was eventually going to bring this up, and I guess now would be a great opportunity to bring this up. That sort of the 50-ton whatever elephant in the room when it comes to any of these discussions about UFOs and extraterrestrials, whatever, is, well, if we discover that it is an extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence behind these things, then what? That's really what all of this boils down to. All the studies, all the hearings, all the, the whole pursuit of this is to, when we finally pull the, the veil off and we find that we're truly not alone, then what? Then what? It's like, do people go crazy because of, strongly held religious or spiritual views that maybe humans as we know them, earthlings, were the only, we're God's only creatures in the universe, which I don't believe in. I don't think there's actually any evidence for that in any sort of Judeo-Christian scripture either. But there's some people that do see the world that way. Like, like people would go crazy, right? And people that have had sightings on an individual basis, right, have, like you said, been fundamentally changed for the rest of their lives because they've seen something or have believed to see something that like their human brain just couldn't handle. Mm-hmm. So that's why this topic is just infinitely interesting. And, with this bill, we're just pursuing a very, very like, a shaving off of the tip of the iceberg, honestly. If you want to look at the potential of the whole topic, what I'm doing is just a little shaving off the tip of the iceberg.
Well, you gotta start cutting somewhere.
Exactly. Right.
So shaving is better than nothing. In my book.
Nothing. Yeah.
So back to, because I know where we're going.
Yeah.
What kicked this off? We kind of got not off topic.
Right.
I think that was great.
Yeah.
So what sparked this movement in you?
Yeah. So, just like seeing this growing interest coming from the national level and from scientists, we're talking, I follow, Dr. Stephen Greer. I follow, like Avi Loeb. A lot of like these other people, and it's like we could all have our opinions on them, but I try to follow as much as I can from everyone that's has a level of credibility on this topic.
Speak my language.
Yeah, and it's like it's just becoming, you're seeing more documentaries pop up on like Prime Video, on Netflix, on TV shows. Obviously, Ancient Aliens has been on forever, and R.I.P. to Nick Pope, who sadly just passed away.
I gotta give you credence, man. You know your stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know
absolutely.
Your stuff.
Oh yeah.
Nick was,
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Great guy. Yeah, and I saw him live once in Torrington, Connecticut, actually.
I was at Contact in the Desert with him last year.
Yeah.
And I got to sit in a room with him for like 30 minutes, and it was just me and him talking.
Really? Wow.
It was. So Ancient Aliens. All that stuff.
Ancient Aliens, again, on the History Channel, and the History Channel, I think, still has a decent amount of credibility. It depends on what you're watching, right? But, like, all these things are, like, real things. I think, sometimes, because since the advent, this is a totally different rabbit hole and topic we could get into, and I feel almost like just to, know almost as much about as UFOs, actually maybe even more, this whole era of social media, right? Content kind of gets garbled into this, new dimension known as social media. And because it's now called, social media content or internet content, that it kind of gets lumped in with things that are just like not, have no use, like brain rot and, all this other garbage that's on the internet. Right. And because it exists on that platform, it doesn't mean that it's that thing. Right. Like, we're talking about, like you said, Betty and Barney Hill. That story has been around forever, but it only existed in the domain of print media and, sort of just this, oral retelling of the story. There wasn't really like, like a center for the study of this phenomenon that happened to these people to like give it sort of that like academic level, like stamp of like credibility. Right. So, because it hasn't been taken seriously, this topic hasn't been taken seriously to that level, these stories had to go somewhere, and they went on, the internet.
National Enquirer.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, right? And because of the way we're just wired as human beings, we associate things, right? So like if I saw this on Instagram, or if I saw this on, YouTube, or if I saw this on Alex Jones or something, it's not,
inherently less credible.
Exactly. And it's not fair. Right.
But guess who's saying that? The legacy media.
Oh yeah, right.
The ones who gave them the rights. Like, you guys are playing pharmaceutical ads every 30 seconds. I know where your allegiance is.
Right.
Come on.
Right. And I think more people are smartening up, and they're seeing things for what they are and not prejudging things because of stupid, things like that. Like, it's funny. It's like, you go, you go to the doctors, or you go to, some like professional, right? Or you go to your banker or whatever, somebody that holds a professional position, right? And I work in banking, it's like my other job. Like we don't make enough money to be full-time politicians. We're only part-time. So you got to have another job, right? Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So, it's like you go to like, the authorities, I guess that's the term I was looking for, the authorities, right? The professionals, the authorities, about a particular topic. Like you go to your doctor and you talk about, like, hey, I heard, maybe this diet is better than that diet, or taking this supplement has like been shown to, to have this positive effect. And immediately these people in these positions of authority, they'll go, oh, where'd you see that? On the internet? Yeah, I did. And saying I saw that on the internet is akin to saying, yeah, I took out a book on that subject in the library. The internet isn't all bad, and it's not all junk. It's you got to judge things on a case-by-case basis. If I'm producing you a document that is a study that was published somewhere on the internet, it could have been from the official like government source. It could have been from like, the national health, department or whatever.
Exactly.
It's like just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's right. And I think, again, going back to that whole older generation thing, I think that it's tough, with people that, especially with professionals in their respective fields, it's really tough for them to go against the grain of how their profession has taught them to think on a particular subject. It's really difficult. And there's a few people that are able to sort of unshackle themselves from that way of thinking and rise above it and welcome new information that comes in, right? And use that information and judge it on its own merits instead of prejudging it from the lens of the previous paradigm that they were in.
Right. Do you think there's a problem in government where maybe some of the older generational people, or even younger people, it's kind of taken off with the younger generation now as well, but this really hardline religious belief, where they think that we're dealing with angels and demons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we're inherently invoking demonic, whatever, right? Just by dabbling in it.
Right.
Do you think that even if it's not spoken out loud, do you think that could be a problem?
Yeah, I do actually. And I think I've heard that a lot. And I've heard it from some younger people. I've also heard it from some older folks. I have a good friend who would probably be a great guest on this podcast, actually.
Recommend?
Yes, absolutely.
I really want to talk to the person who's doing the study too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If that's...
Yeah. I could definitely put you in touch with them. Oh, yeah. And part of what the study involves is using that money to hire like a professor who's going to be doing this like full time. So we have some people on the short list, and I could run that short list by you and see what you think of those people.
Yeah, we'll talk off the camera.
Yeah. But getting back to what I was saying, this friend of mine, an older gentleman who has a military background like Gene here, and has worked in intelligence and all that stuff. As he was actually a component of me, finally sort of taking the step to bring this bill forward because of all the things that he told me that I couldn't believe were true, but actually were true. And again, it comes down to people that are in positions of authority, right? Or that were in positions of authority, that were a part of the power structure. If they're breaking off and they're saying, hey, what we've told you is not true, this is actually what happened, and this is actually how it worked, that is, you can't get any more credible than that, right? You can't get any closer to the source than somebody that was a part of the source telling you that what you're seeing on TV or what we've told you is not true.
I agree.
So that could have, sparked more motivation and just more of a desire to bring this topic, to use my capacity as an elected official to, I hear that.
I think a UFO's
it's
outside
a Tesla.
right now.
Yeah, definitely an electric vehicle.
Yeah, I think it's a literal UFO outside.
I love the sound those vehicles make.
It's literal sound of a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's my neighbor.
Yeah.
Sorry
But yeah,
about that.
and so where I was going with that was, remind me again. So we were talking about my friend who.
So what sparked you taking the next step?
Yes. So, seeing how all these things are coming to being brought into the mainstream, and really important people in government are discussing these things. I said, look, it's now or never. This is the time for me to really use my position, my tiny little position of authority here, but one that offers me a platform to bring this subject into the mainstream. And if it accomplishes nothing else other than allowing more people to come forward, more scientists, ex-military people to hop on this bandwagon, if nothing else, if it only results in that, then it'll have accomplished its mission.
I agree. So you told me on the phone.
Yeah.
And I want to segue here. You were in New Jersey.
Yeah.
During the quote unquote New Jersey drone incursions.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that was like and what you were seeing?
Yeah.
And, what you felt and what was the.
Yeah. So this was mid to late November of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking a road trip actually to Arizona. Funny enough, I actually don't like to fly. I'm very interested in unidentified flying objects, but I myself do not like to fly.
You're not going to take a ride in a UFO?
If one was offered to, actually, believe it or not, if one was offered to me, I'd probably take it.
Yeah.
But, like I would probably, yeah.
But you don't like flying.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't like to fly in commercial airplanes. UFOs, I'm fine with. So anyway, I had to go to this conference, and in Arizona. It wasn't a UFO conference. It was something unrelated. And I had some time, I guess, whatever. It was like during Thanksgiving, so I had a few days off from work. And so I drove to Arizona. It was like a 2-day trip. I love to drive. I could drive 16 hours nonstop. I don't mind it at all, especially if it's going somewhere new that I haven't seen before. That constant stimulation of seeing new landscapes and new cities is enough to keep me awake. But so I'm driving through New Jersey, and I left it around 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. and it's already dark by then. That time of year. So, but I'm at the part now where it's leaving New Jersey, going into Pennsylvania, but still sort of on the New Jersey side. And from that point and until I got to about halfway through Virginia, there was a stretch of highway where every 5 minutes there was the red and green flashing, indicative of a drone, or that that particular sort of flashing that is required by law to be on a drone. Every 5 minutes or so, there was a new one sort of just hanging about 100 or 200 feet above the highway. And then, you would drive by because it was literally just standing in place. It wasn't moving. And then 5 minutes later, another one would appear. And every 5 to 10 minutes for about 2.5 hours from New Jersey to Virginia.
Rotating through.
It's rotating through. And the funniest and craziest thing was that there was literally signs on this highway that said that there could be low hanging craft or aerial photography happen. So I said, okay, that's what it is.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Were these signs that seemed like they were just put up, or
no? It seemed
they were
there.
there?
Yeah, it seemed like they were there. They were newer signs. I actually thought that too. I was is this something that they just put up, or has this been a fixture on this highway for a while?
Right.
And leaning more towards the latter, that it was a permanent fixture on the highway. But I just found it like really strange. Like, hey, there's these signs that are warning or letting us know that there's these craft. And well, actually, that sort of alleviated some of my, anxiety about these things, because I saw these signs, and it explained potentially what these were. But then when I finally like stop for the night or the next day or whatever, and I get a chance to like look through my phone and catch up on the news or whatever, this had like made the news that there was like drones all over like this part of New Jersey that I was literally driving through. And I could safely say that they appeared to be drones. They weren't UFOs. They weren't things that were unidentified by me. They looked like drones. I could sort of make out the shape of the actual craft. And also based off the lighting, they looked like drones. But why there was dozens of drones along that stretch of highway on that night, I cannot tell you for the life of me.
Right. So and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I had a member of Congress tell me, now, I think it's kind of come out, and like a company kind of took responsibility and was like, no, that's our stuff.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of drones that can fly at night, because you need a certain thermal, like there's no sense in flying a drone at night, because a lot of them don't have like the right cameras. Like you're blind in the sky.
Yeah.
But apparently they have these radiation seeking drones.
Yes.
Thermal drones.
I've heard about that.
Right? So that's what's up there. And I had a member of Congress tell me on an encrypted chat to not go there. Because I was like, hey, I want to go and I want to see these things. And he was like, I wouldn't. He's like, I'm not convinced that there's not a dirty nuke that they're like a bomb
that
they were looking for. He's like,
Yeah,
I don't know if
crazy.
it's war games or not, but he's like, I just wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah.
And I didn't take the chance. I wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's odd. You know what it reminds me of? Because these things were breaching bases like Langley. They were breaching bases that, like Wright Pat. And we'll get to Wright Pat in a few with the missing scientists and the generals I want to get into after the break. But there is, how are these things, staying up for so long without, the size they were?
Yeah.
It just, none of it made sense. So a lot of people were saying like, there was a mix of UFOs and drones, and maybe the drones were there because of the UFOs. And, that's how the UFO community spins everything. But these things were also shutting down facilities, like our sensitive facilities. Wow. So every drone I know of, you can't even cross into an airport without it shutting itself down.
Right.
So who has that capability?
Yeah, these were definitely special drones. They weren't. I kind of had that feeling, just looking at them and the way that they were moving, and the fact that they were sort of synchronized to like kind of take over, rotate shifts every like 10 minutes or so. That's almost kind of like what it felt like, because you would see one and it was about, maybe like a couple miles away or whatever, 500 yards to a couple miles away. Like you would see it. And as you would get closer, like it wasn't moving because it would get bigger. If it was moving away or closer to you, it would either get big really fast or it would continue to stay small in your sort of field of vision. But it was just hovering there, and it was about 200, 300 feet above ground. And there was a sign that said aerial photography. Maybe it's some sort of craft that's taking pictures of the highway, or I don't know. Or
right, your left brain's like,
yeah. But then it's like it would leave. It would just literally leave. It would be like, and it would just go. And then like 5 minutes down the road, down the highway, there'd be another one in the same position. just like sort of floating. Maybe not exactly staying still, but like, kind of like floating like this.
Current,
riding like a current. Yeah.
So
it did that for like 3 hours on that stretch of highway from New Jersey to Virginia.
That's odd. I mean, it's odd.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so that has to be something that, at least, because have you ever seen a UFO
No,
other than those?
I've never seen one. I know people that have. Actually, a family member of mine just told me that she had seen one.
Well, once you become the UFO guy,
yeah, the people start commenting. Right? Yeah.
So they're going to feel a lot more comfortable with you going forward. So
Yeah.
what's
never
that?
seen one.
So you don't have to tell me her name
No,
or who
yeah,
she is,
yeah.
but what did she tell you?
So this was in a city in Connecticut, and she saw a like classic like disc shape, and she was with like another friend, and it like flew above their heads. When I say above their heads, I don't mean like right above their heads, but like 500-600 feet above their heads, and that it just sort of like vanished. It like it didn't drift off into a direction; it just disappeared.
Can you guys get me the average count of UFO sightings in Connecticut? I think MUFON has it.
Yeah, it's high.
I want to know how many cases are reported there.
Connecticut is high. And
it is high, right?
That's part of the justification for the study is that Connecticut has some of the highest UFO sightings per capita, and don't we want like a central repository to collect this information in a sort of systemic scientific way to analyze it?
I think so,
especially for the discounted rate of $275,000 U.S. Connecticut taxpayer dollars. So,
oh man, so
300 reports
per month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That is a lot.
Well, I mean, we're right between Boston and New York. I mean, arguably two of the most important cities in the country. Like,
is there any bases in Connecticut that are noteworthy?
Oh yeah,
Groton, Connecticut, the Groton Naval Shipyard.
Oh yeah, you brought one up.
yeah, Groton. Yeah, you got Groton, Connecticut. You have the headquarters of Raytheon down the street here.
I'm sorry, the headquarters of Raytheon's in Connecticut?
No, in Mass.
Oh, in Mass,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
right here. Yeah.
And Groton's a nuclear base.
And Groton's a nuclear base and right on the corner of Rhode Island and Connecticut there. And then, of course, you have like anything that could come from the Hudson Valley in New York. That's a hot spot historically.
Whitley Strieber.
Yeah.
The
Whitley
whole, that whole,
yeah.
during the 80s, there was
Abduction.
a huge,
Yeah.
wait, what do you think about abductions?
So my view on that is I always defer to people that like have talked to the alleged abductees and are privy to more information than I am. And I really like Dr. Greer's answers to a lot of these questions, which is that, and I firmly believe this because of conversations that I've had with people like Gene and my friend that I was referencing earlier, that the United States government has capabilities that like the public will never know about.
Can I stop you for a sec?
Yeah.
Because you just because I don't think this will be able to insert this anywhere else.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this ghost murmur thing?
Ghost what?
Ghost murmur?
No.
With how they found that pilot that went down in Iran?
No.
They did. Can you guys bring this up?
No.
The ghost murmur. So first off, whoever named it, great job. Great job. So the pilot that went down in Iran?
Yeah, we like recovered him, I think, right?
You know how we did that?
No.
Well, the CIA has this technology where they can detect a heartbeat, and they did it from 39 point something miles out. And now, mind you have to separate animals.
Yeah, other things that have heartbeats.
Everything that has a heartbeat. And they found this guy. Now, again, I think take it with a grain of salt, because whether we want to believe it or not, we are in wartime.
Yeah.
And when you want to scare your enemy into thinking you have some fucking crazy,
Yeah.
Technology, but could it be a half truth? But yeah, they detected this guy's heartbeat from 40, almost 40 miles out, and he was in a crevice. And the first thing he said back, that he sent back, according to Pete Hegseth, who I'm not believing that this is what he said first, was God is good.
Yeah.
That's not my first message back.
Right.
It's like, get me the out of here. Right?
Yeah,
get me out of here, not God is good.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the third or fourth message.
Right. Maybe it was said, yeah.
Like once you get in contact, you're like, God is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But so anyway, but yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's crazy. That
is crazy.
And if that's what they're telling us we have.
Right. Imagine what we actually have. Look, I have constituents who have come to me and it's really hard with things like this because it's like they could be crazy, but what if they're not, right? And I've had constituents that have come to me and have said,
Get right up on that.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just one constituent has come to me and has said that he believes he was being targeted by like a directed energy weapon, right?
A DW.
Yes. And
Can you tell me what he described?
so he described like this, like nothing overtly physical, but that he would kind of hear like in the middle of night, like clockwork. And again, this is also something people that are suffering from, genuine mental health issues could probably experience as well. But he was describing a sort of like metallic noise, like nails, like coming down on like your roof, and headaches associated with it every single, every other night or something. Not like late at night, like 8, 9 o'clock at night or something like that. Like most people are still up by then, unless you have some like crazy job and you're getting up at like 4, most people are still up and like pretty alert at like 8 or 9 o'clock. And like, at least I am. I mean,
That's when I'm most alert.
yeah, exactly. Right. That's when a lot of people are most alert. And, and this person, it's like, when you talk to him and he's not talking about this subject, he seems like pretty normal, like a little eccentric, but like seems pretty normal. And I've been trying to help this guy out a lot. And I've actually helped him out monetarily.
Did he serve?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't serve in the military.
No. Did
No.
he work on anything? Did he tell you?
It's hard. It's hard.
We
to
don't have
say.
to go there. Honestly.
No, I know. I mean, I would. I mean, I would. I wish I knew more about him. I don't really know too much about his personal life. Maybe that's something I could ask him about. But he's like sort of like a musician type, and like just not anybody
checking all the boxes for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Yeah, there's something about it.
yeah,
The metallic sounds, and there's other stuff too.
Yeah.
And then just the you tend to see a lot of creative
people. Yeah,
people
yeah.
being associated with this.
Interesting.
So, I'd be interested to know what he did.
Yeah.
For, like,
Yeah, and I'll talk to him, and he's having a hard time, with
But
paying
that's
his bills
crazy.
and stuff.
No
yeah.
burning inside though. No like internal like feels like his insides are. I'm not trying to lead you.
I think
or
he
front
describes a
load.
lot of like it's that sort of stuff in his head. Like
Interesting.
like
Very
headaches
interesting.
and stuff.
I would implore you to look into something called Havana syndrome.
That's what he described it as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whew, yeah, that's deep.
So it's definitely something to look into, and I'm happy to do it for him, and I try to help him out as much as I can. But I mean, anyhow, I mean, we were talking about abductees and things like that, and that actually brought me to thinking about a point that I was trying to make earlier about the angels and demons, and the same individual that's told me about things that the government, nothing classified, just things that he was privy to that now has become declassified, but that he knew 30, 40 years ago. But that individual believes he's a big Roman Catholic, and he believes that UFOs could be like demons, right? Or, sort of, spirits or something. And, I said to him, well, Jim, his name's Jim. I said, maybe some of it is, right? And again, going back to the Dr. Stephen Greer thing, he says 80 to 90% of the things that we see in the skies, are probably man-made. 10 to 20% are truly unidentified. Now, in that 10 to 20% category, maybe some of these things do have like an interdimensional or spiritual, component, like in the way a traditional Roman Catholic or religious person understands the existence of these things via their scripture. And in that same category could be true extraterrestrial presence. But I really do think that it just makes a lot of sense that 80 to 90% of like what we see in the skies is probably just Raytheon and probably just Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman or some of these black project, departments, black budget departments or whatever, testing their,
Yeah, they're next gens.
their next gens
Yeah.
and things that we may never see. And,
It's crazy to me that we've
Yeah.
got to this point
Yeah.
where it's not even that we deny it. We're not even denying
right.
UFOs anymore. We just go, yeah, it's probably black budget tech.
Yeah.
Right? That's the deferral.
yeah,
Right? It's not, no, you're crazy.
You're crazy, right? No, it's
It's
like,
no,
totally agree.
that's what we got cooking with DARPA.
I totally agree. I think, and this would probably have been a better way to start this whole conversation. which is that I think the Overton window has moved, right? Like these conversations are not starting from the point of the person that is reporting a UFO first having to prove they're not crazy and then having to prove that they actually saw what they have to saw. I think we've moved past to the point now where it's like, okay, describe to me specifically what you saw. And I can tell you whether it's something that is probably connected to something humans are doing or something that is truly unidentified or unexplained.
Right. Like if it's a bead of lights in the sky.
Yeah.
All right.
Starlink.
Probably Starlink,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Most
Starlink I've seen. And I thought I had my first UFO encounter. I was actually on a ferry.
It's jarring the first time.
It is. And I had no idea what Starlink was. I was 3 or 4 years ago, I was on a ferry from Connecticut to Long Island. And as we were coming back from the Long Island side to Connecticut, it was the middle of the night. I think it was like 8 o'clock at night. And it wasn't quite summer yet, I don't think, or it might have been like fall. And because it was dark, it was very dark. It might have even been like later than 8 o'clock. It was really dark. And, we're in the middle of the sound there and there's no light. So it's just like really dark. And I look up and I see boom, 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 like these things almost like meteorites or, flying like comets or something, like things like almost like burning in like the atmosphere. And I was like, holy crap. Like I see a UFO. Like
You're
this
like,
is my first UFO.
genuine.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I see somebody else like looking at it. I'm like, dude, you see this? And he's like, he had like his headphones in and like he takes off his headphones and he's like, what? And he's like, do you see this? And he's like, oh yeah, that's Starlink.
So here's an interesting thing though, right?
Yeah.
Did you not feel a little like, oh shit? Like you almost want to believe.
Oh yeah.
And he like almost crushes you.
Oh yeah, totally.
By being like, oh no, that's Starlink.
That's Starlink.
Because it's like you're thinking, you're like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, dude, it's Starlink.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, and it kind of takes the wind out of your sails.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you can see why people, when they do have these sightings, they get defensive.
Yes.
When they get explained prosaically.
Yes.
So we do have that as a problem.
Yeah.
But any good UFO investigator, researcher, they know that 90%, and that's being generous.
Yeah.
If not 95%,
Right.
can be explained prosaically.
Yeah.
The 5%, that's what needs further investigation, and I assume that that's what you guys are going to want to see.
Absolutely.
Now, what kind of sensors and stuff are you guys going to be putting cameras? Are you going to be using existing astronomy? I know you met with Mark D'Antonio, friend of the show.
Yes.
He's got his observatories.
Yep, in Arizona, which is really cool. So basically, the funds for the study are going to really only be going to paying the director and a couple people that he's going to have to sort of subcontract with. And then I think because this is being run through the state of Connecticut, any resources and any detection software or anything that is watching the skies via the state of Connecticut's network, I think will be made available to the committee at no charge.
Traffic cams?
Stuff like that, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think anything that like this guy is going to need that like the state of Connecticut owns, I think will be made available like, free of charge because it's intra-state.
Yeah.
So anything obviously that would be federal, we'll try to get, like free of charge. But like if there's a charge or if we can't get because it's classified or.
I was gonna say, it'd be interesting to see what they push back on.
Right. And that well, that's the thing. That'll also let us know like
where
the boundaries are.
Where you're.
Yeah.
For lack of of a better term, it also shows you where they draw the line. Like it's anyway.
Yeah.
So are you a religious person? You don't have to answer.
Yeah.
But like, do you believe in a creator?
Oh,
I mean.
Yeah, I think I do, and I think the best way I could answer that is. There was a guy that I follow who passed away. His name is Jordan Maxwell.
I know,
Jordan
familiar.
Maxwell, yeah. And I follow a lot of the work that he did. I'm not saying all of it was accurate or he was right about everything, but he had this one really, really good quote that I love using. And he always said that he was just an ordinary man pursuing extraordinary knowledge. And he also had another really good quote on the religious side of things, which was that if you claim to know God, then you probably don't. So that's where I stand. I think, a God exists, a creator exists, but me trying to understand what that is a futile endeavor.
Right.
So I just appreciate what it produces and what it's given to us, and this universe we live in, and it's up to us to explore it and understand it better. But to understand why God did what He did and all that stuff I think it's a futile pursuit. And especially the way organized religion kind of creates this terrain where people they're pitting people against each other. I don't consider myself like a Christian. Do I believe Jesus existed? Yeah, Jesus probably existed. Was Jesus divine in any way? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not ruling it out. Don't have any evidence to show that other than eyewitnesses and things that are in the Bible,
Like
but
the
again,
Gospels and
right?
stuff.
But
Yeah.
the Bible was written by man. By man.
And men can be flawed.
They could be flawed. They could be tampered with. They could be corrupted.
I mean, we know the Council of Nicaea was
Yeah.
they chose certain works and
Yeah.
left others out.
Yeah. Dead
i.e.
Sea
the Book of
Scrolls.
Enoch.
Yep.
Dead Sea Scroll,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So it's like
political.
it comes down to, and that's why I think kind of an interesting caveat to this is, while I do agree that the anthropic principle, our universe, it's perfect, and it's so perfect for life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That it seems from the micro to the macro, intelligently designed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll give them that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
There is
And then-
intelligent design for sure.
Like, you look around and you just go, this can't be no reason.
Right.
Like, so when scientists, talk about the Big Bang and then, someone religious said, God said, let there be light, I say, you're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Right.
Just
right.
through different lenses.
Right.
So when it comes to these UFOs or
Yeah.
beings,
Yeah.
are we just what they called angels and demons?
Right.
Are we calling aliens,
Yeah.
right? Or extraterrestrial, non-human
Yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, angels and demons by definition are non-human intelligence.
Right. Exactly.
And an interesting case is the Virginia case.
Yeah,
Gene and I
yeah.
actually took a trip down to, not to Virginia.
Oh, okay.
We're going, I have the connections to go.
Yeah.
But we went to the National Press Club event.
Yeah.
I spoke to some of the, like Carlos de Souza,
Yeah.
all them. And, what stuck out to me is this smell of sulfur.
Yeah.
Because what is associated with
The
demons?
devil. Yeah. Sulfur is associated with
Red
devil.
eyes,
Yeah.
horns,
Yeah.
smelled like sulfur. What does
Yeah.
that sound like to you?
Yeah. Demons.
If I saw that, I'd be like, that's a demon,
Yeah.
bro.
It came
And
straight
I would,
out of the ground. Yeah.
right. So just again, to me, I'm going, I think what we're dealing with is, this is not black and white.
Yeah. No,
It's
for
not
sure.
black and white.
For sure, it's not black and white. And yeah, I'm very familiar with the Virginia case. I've seen. I haven't seen the latest documentary on it by
James.
James. Yeah. What's
James Fox.
Fox. Yeah.
I implore you to.
Yeah. But I've seen other documentaries on it, and I've seen like an older one where there's footage from '96 where people are being interviewed and they're talking about this thing like it just like they're like you. These are like villagers, like they're not paid actors. These are like people working at a hospital trying to make ends meet in like an impoverished area of Brazil. Like they're not. You could see the blood and sweat on their face and the
They
trauma
get the
in their eyes.
neurosurgeon.
Yeah, it's like this is real, man. What they
The
saw was real.
The neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
We got to meet him.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He worked on the being.
Yeah.
Like, this guy has no reason to lie. He's still one of the most highly regarded neurosurgeons in that area.
Yeah.
Like, this guy, he's got money. He's, there's no benefit to him coming forward, seemingly.
Right.
So, that's where I start to ask. And again, the New Jersey drone thing brought something up for me. And again, are you familiar with like the late 60s incursions of like Malmstrom and Minot, where UFOs shut down nukes?
The nuclear silos. Yes.
Well, I know those men personally.
Yeah.
Like Robert Salas
Yeah.
and Dave Schindler
Wow.
from them. I can introduce you sometime.
Yeah,
I'd
no,
love for you to
please.
talk to them.
That'd be so cool.
But I walked Bob into Representative Mace's office
Yeah.
and allowed him to brief her and then later on Burleson. So no one in 50 years has been able to do that for him. And I did it, I'm not tooting my own horn, but
Yeah.
that's what I do.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
that's my purpose in this field.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know what my job is.
Yeah.
Right. But don't you think it's a little weird that craft have been routinely since the 60s at a minimum
Yeah.
breaching our most sensitive facilities, and it's what
Yeah.
not on anyone's radar.
Yeah. It is. It's mind-boggling. It really is, and it definitely is on someone's radar. I
And
think.
these guys are no joke.
No. Yeah.
They have to report when they take ibuprofen. They're on the what is it? The personal
reliability program.
PRP. So they have to report everything that they do, psychologically, all of that. So when those guys speak, I listen because I owe it to them.
Yeah.
And with
Oh
Gene,
yeah, exactly.
I owe it to him.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by not paying close attention to when somebody like that speaks. Absolutely, yeah. I know, and I've met people like that before.
Is there a back to so you do believe that there's intelligent design?
Oh, yeah.
And the anthropic principle, again, our universe does seem very, very perfect, almost too perfect, like it was intelligently created. But there's this weird, what if we had, and again, this is speculative, I suppose, but do you think that there may be a possibility that we find out that some of these beings maybe had a hand in our creation?
Ooh, that would be interesting.
That's a tough conversation, right?
It's a tough conversation, and I don't know. I don't know that collectively we'll ever get to that point, because I think that would be too hot for many people to handle.
Would you be able to handle it?
Yeah, I think so, because I kind of already sort of believe that now,
Right.
I think that it's sort of I don't know if it was with you that we used this analogy, or with Mark. I think it was with Mark when we had lunch the other day, that ants, right? Like when the proverbial kid with a magnifying glass trying to burning the ants just for fun. The ants don't necessarily know that there's somebody messing around with their lives for fun, using this beam of heat to burn them. They just know that, oh shit, we're getting burned here, we got to move out of the way, just instinctively. I don't think ants have
Problem.
Move, right? Like an ant will know, if you put your finger next to an ant, it'll sense there's something there and it'll go around. So that's some level of intelligence, right? So I think the way to try to grapple with that scenario that you laid out was to think of it this way. We would probably react the same way the ants react when there's somebody trying to burn them with a magnifying glass, which is we would just be so caught up in the emotional state of what that sort of disclosure brings that I don't think we could ever get out of that headspace to collectively, obviously individuals might, there's some people that think this way now, but collectively, I don't think we could handle it as a society to get out of panic mode and into understanding mode.
Right.
The same way ants will never get to that. They're just looking to get out of the way. They're never looking to go, what's causing this?
Right.
I'll
take you one further.
Yeah.
Before we take a break.
Yeah.
Because I think it's more in line with something like this.
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't create ants, right? But I see the analogy that everyone uses that one, and I like it. I try because I do think the intelligence differential is probably spot on, but I liken it to dogs. We took wolves.
Yeah.
We took wolves, right, and we altered their genetics because for our benefit.
Yeah.
You know, not just because we needed a friend, but the wolves that followed early humans around with, you know, and picked up off their scraps. Oh, the human goes, well, you know, I could use you to alert if something comes into the area, right?
Right.
So then along the lines, then we have dogs. And now I have one sitting in the room with us,
Yeah.
right?
Cute dog, by the
Right.
way.
I
Cute
love
dog.
him.
Yeah.
And I'd do anything for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
He is my world. He has saved me multiple times.
Yeah.
Right? But I also some days feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you can't experience the way I
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
So I liken it to that, where
Yeah.
maybe these things came along, they saw primates, and they go, we can use you,
Yeah. Yeah.
alter the DNA,
Yeah.
right? And then Homo sapien comes out of that.
Yeah.
And that could explain why every other creature on this earth seems to benefit some sort of ecosystem, and we don't.
We don't. Yeah. We're such an anomaly.
We
I
shed
thought
our
about
fur
that.
only to need pelts in the winter.
Yeah.
We stood up only to have back problems.
Right.
We get burned by the sun.
Yeah.
None of it makes
Strange.
sense.
We're not natural.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we are the aliens.
Yeah.
Right? It makes
Totally.
no sense. And the brain doubled cosmically overnight.
Yeah.
The evidence is there.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. I've always this is like an ongoing thought I have, which is like we are so unnatural to our environment. You know,
And all we want to do is create.
Yeah.
We could. Where's my phone?
and why is nothing? And if we're really evolved from some sort of ape-like creature, why is nothing else evolving?
This,
You know, like right?
you think, this phone,
Yeah.
right? We could stop right here.
Yeah,
We could stop innovating the phone right here.
Yeah.
And we would be golden,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everything looking around us.
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff we have. This is going to be broadcast through the airwaves and seen in Australia and
wow.
you know, wherever, and
Yeah.
the UK. It's going to be all over this will be seen globally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We could stop right now and we could be good,
Yeah.
but we can't. Humans, we just go. Why is that?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the story of the ancient Sumerian tablets. We were created by a race of, from the sky they
Yeah,
came,
the
the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
They created us to mine gold. And I'm not saying, again, take this as just like a bullet point.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I believe it is the Anunnaki and we were
Yeah.
created to mine gold, but I'm saying
Right.
something
right.
like that I do think is
Allegorically, at the very least. Yeah.
categorically true.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the church, they were like, no,
Yeah.
no, we can't have this.
Well, going back to Jordan Maxwell, right? Another one of his famous sayings. I mean, I don't know how famous it is, but he always would say that every religious movement is a little political, and every political movement is a little religious, because it's almost like you need both of those components. I mean, think about it. Like, you know, and I have a lot of friends who are Catholic. I mean, Connecticut, the Northeast is very Catholic.
Very,
right?
very.
Boston, obviously, Irish Catholic and whatnot. And I have a lot of my friends are Catholics, and I love going at it with Catholics, and because I'm like, you know, I really think that the true the true Christians are like the ones that are worshiping out of like right next to a bodega. Right, we've seen those churches, right? I don't even know what denomination that is, but they're like some form of Protestant, because you know they're really like, you know, like you guys have like these beautiful churches, like you need like a how you got
See that?
Yeah.
See that skull thing?
yeah
We I gotta say this
Yeah.
because I just thought of it, and I can see that she thought of it too. We painted that at Plaster Fun Time, and there was just this church next door, bro. The whole mall was shaking.
Oh yeah.
Like they partied.
They part
bro.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah, and-
I'm so sorry.
You know, and I no. And you know, I've been to like Catholic mass, and you know, I've been to Protestant churches, and you know, all sorts of denominations. I've been to like almost every religious establishment you could think of. what's it called? Buddhist temples,
Mosques,
synagogues, things like that. And I love to dabble in all of it. I love to talk to people about their beliefs, their faith, and everything. And I have a lot of Catholic friends, and I love to tease them. And I say, listen, they're really like, they're the true believers, man. I mean, they don't need this like beautiful, elaborate church. You guys need to like feel Jesus. Like they're in this like, next door to like a bodega, and they're just as much in line with Jesus as you guys are in this church. Like, and what I'm trying to get at, and this is a legitimate criticism of the Catholic Church, is that like they're almost like a corporation. They're very hierarchical, right? Like, things come down from the Pope and through the cardinals and the bishops. And forgive me if I'm, not 100% accurate with the way things operate, but it is very, very hierarchical. And
they bribe property.
That is always a red flag to me, because anytime you are,
and they don't pay tax.
They don't pay tax. Well, I mean, there's probably other religious institutions that don't pay tax, but the point is this: anytime you create this sort of like complex, hierarchical, almost corporate like structure around faith and around the spirituality, it always like raises a red flag for me. Like you don't even need to go to church to worship God. You could do it from your
the
house.
church.
Right.
This is what was actually said, and that's again, these are the things that were taken out of the original translation. Because if everyone knew that, I mean, they say it, the blood of what is it? I'm not
communion or
communion. You drink the
blood of Christ.
Drink the blood of Christ and the body of Christ. You are the church, right?
Yeah. Right.
That's that. That's that whole thing. Is a church is just a place to congregate. It's the building.
Exactly.
You bring it in there.
Yes.
So and this could be a church.
Right. Well, that's the point.
Yeah. So I think that, again, it's been lost. And don't get me started. We're here in Boston.
Yeah.
Where.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You know what happened. What got broken open
here. Yeah.
And if God let that shit fly.
Yeah. And again, I don't necessarily think that's the work of God. I think that's the work of man. And I'm very open about this subject. Like, I think that the reason that happens is it can't be the case that bad people want to become priests at that level, to the amount of child abuse that has happened within the Catholic Church. So you mean to tell me that people that are sex offenders, that are predators, want to become priests so they can have access to children? That's a theory, I guess, but you could also be a pastor and have access to children. You could also be I don't know, something else, a teacher and have access to children. Are we saying that there's a problem in academia with teachers, molesting children? No. Does it happen? Of course it happens.
Of course.
But what I think it is that these individuals, humans, human beings, right? Not gods, are taking these positions, and they're not getting married. They're not allowed to engage in sexual activity, and I think that's causing them to a switch may flip in their head at some point when somebody gets removed from their natural state of
same way someone does in jail,
right? And I think that's what's happening. And I mean, unfortunately, you committed the act. You got to pay the consequences. But we are. The Catholic Church is setting these people up for failure, really, because so few people, I think, can put up with that. Not being in that sort of those sort of confines, moral and physical confines, and all the other things.
It really freaks me out,
and it doesn't happen at the same rate on the non-Catholic side, like with pastors, like in other Christian denominations.
Yeah,
you don't hear about pastors as much, molesting children as you do with Catholic priests.
Yeah,
so it's unfortunate. I mean, I know like I said, a lot of my friends are Catholics. I have nothing against them. I, love them, equally, but it's a problem with the institution. And like with so many other things, it's always with the system. It's with the institution. You put a good person in a bad situation, in bad circumstances, they're gonna do bad things sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So after the break, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. When we get back, I really want to start diving into the missing scientists and military officials as well, I want to get into a little bit of the Epstein file stuff, and then a few other things that I will. I'm not going to bury the lead here. I'm going to save it as a secret. We have a couple topics to get to when we get back, but I have this has already been an amazing conversation.
Thank
so we'll be right back. You're going to hear from our sponsor right now. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, become a member. Literally, to keep all these lights on, it does cost money. So if you want to help support, of course, like, share, subscribe is a free way to do that. But if you want to take a step further, become a member and you'll gain access to early and ad-free episodes, sometimes weeks in advance. So with that being said, we'll be right back.
I was a little bit shocked.
He was working on something very secret.
History is real and accurate.
What is this saying? Oh, it's technical specifications of the UFO.
The electrical engineering is real and accurate.
It was a manual how to construct the UFO.
That original math is accurate.
It was literally a blueprint.
These documents were part of the official Soviet program.
It's legit material.
People are a little upset that this book is out there.
This was dangerous for him to put it out.
The people that it seemed to benefit the most were the ones pushing back the hardest, which raised a really big alarm bell for me.
Logic and reason would tell me they shouldn't match anything.
Technology he describes is not 21st century, it's like 22nd century.
And all of the science points directly into the United States government.
You'd think that that would be something that they'd want.
Because the people deserve to know the truth.
There's things in there that can change humanity.
I don't think they really want to see any change.
He didn't have to fight anymore, he has other people fighting for him.
The future doesn't belong in classified vaults. Back here at Total Disclosure, TDP Studios in Boston, my guest, Joe Hoxha, state representative in Connecticut, passed a very, very, very pretty remarkable bill, bipartisan. We kind of went through all that. Now I want to kind of broaden our horizons here a little bit, if you don't mind.
No, of course. Of course not.
Have you been keeping track of some of the headlines regarding these missing scientists, missing generals, and just missing people that have ties or worked close to black programs, to nuclear, aerospace, and all those sectors? Have you been?
Yeah, no, I have. And I'm looking up at your screen right here, and
so we have about 10 of them.
10 right now, yeah, and it spans a couple years, I think.
Yeah, because we could even start with Amy Eskridge.
Okay.
So she, who was working on breakthrough aerospace technology and propulsion technology, found dead, right?
Yeah.
This is 2022. And now we're at 2026.
Yeah, 4 years
And,
ago.
Amy's case is very, very odd. I implore you to look into it.
Yeah.
Can you, what do we have for Amy? She was, again, working in the aerospace, and she had a top secret clearance. She had warned on streams and on different podcasts that she felt she was in danger, and then she gets found unalived. and under, some odd circumstances. We don't have to play the video or anything, but she was doing, a bunch of these kind of streams with people, and she was, talking. She was openly talking.
Yeah.
So it kind of starts there, but then it weaves its way through, ends up really making headlines with General McCaslin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So are you familiar with these people?
Yep. So the previous podcast that I did, it was a part. I was a part of my segment was a part of the show that covered General McCaslin, and after watching the podcast I was on after it was released, I saw that they were talking about General McCaslin, and I looked into his case and everything. And what's interesting to know, and what I am gonna, when I go back home and dig into this a little deeper, is I really want to make sure that these aren't just, because I mean, the thing with like statistics and data, like you can manipulate it to kind of like draw any conclusion you want if you're good enough with manipulating that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's what this is by any stretch of the imagination, but what I wanted to know is there a direct connection between all these people and one particular project? That's the thing, because, to say, like, even in, we were talking about the new Bob Lazar documentary,
Have you watched that?
I have. And, just one of the, like, not even like directly related to the subject matter things that I noticed about the documentary, was that, like, in the directory for the company that he worked for, there was like 3 other Lazars. If you look, they cut to an image of the director. I don't know if
that's at the Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was there was 3 people with the name Lazar, or Lazar in the name, which I found interesting. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, there's so many people that work in defense. X amount of them dying a year is bound to happen for any reason. What's going to be interesting to see is how they were related. And, you're talking about some pretty high up people. So, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to find.
McCaslin, what's interesting about him is the fact that he oversaw the budget, the black budget specifically, on a lot of this aerospace stuff. And he's working out of Wright Pat, which, long been rumored in the UFO lore to have housed material, because that's where our weapons research lab is. So where we develop and make those next generation kind of weaponry.
Project Blue Book was
Project
based
Blue
out
Book
of there.
was stayed out of there as well, which is again, and there's allegedly this room on Wright Pat. They call it the red room or the blue room. Where the Roswell material is, where beings are being held.
Yep. Philip Corso worked out of there and saw some beings.
Yeah, again, your stuff.
Oh yeah.
So in McCaslin, he just, Trump says, I'm going to declassify the UFO files.
Yeah.
This guy had been not outed, but years prior, remember that WikiLeaks thing?
Okay,
where all the emails came out for the DNC?
Yeah.
In that set of emails were emails between McCaslin and Blink-182 star Tom DeLonge, who is starting to the Stars Academy with guys like Hal Puthoff, Elizondo, Kit Green, former Skunk Works, like the who's who of that world, right? And you just start to ask questions.
Yeah.
Why these people? Why now? And what do they all have in common?
What do they all have in common? Yeah,
like you said.
I think that's the key to unlock
the
all
current
this.
thread is black programs.
Okay.
I think that's the current.
A specific black program?
We can't get that information, right?
Yeah, that's
but at least 2 of them, McCaslin and his research assistant or his science assistant, she is one of them. So she worked with him at his lab, and those 2 are missing. That alone, those 2 warrant some sort of serial activity.
Oh, yeah.
So, have you ever seen the 3-body problem?
No.
Oh, man. So the 3-body problem is this science fiction book that was turned into a film.
Okay.
Or, I mean, into a series.
Okay.
And essentially what the storyline is, without getting too deep off the course here, is our top scientists in a specific field start to go missing.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's some alien intelligence that wants to take our planet because theirs is dying.
Okay.
And again, you look at these things like Project Mockingbird and
Yeah.
all these things where Hollywood's been used as kind of a soft disclosure of sorts, right? To soften the blow, normalize ideas before
Right.
they hit the real world.
Yeah.
So I got to ask,
Yeah.
what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Because our top scientists and generals are either they know that something's coming and they're scattering and going into hiding, and some of them are dying, or we have some real issue inherently that they're all going to disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish I knew more about, the series and book you're referencing and how it ties into this. It is concerning. It is alarming. On my personal Facebook and social media, I share this stuff all the time, and it gets some level of engagement. But again, going back to what we were, talking about before in the first, segment, that is just not really at the forefront of people's attentions yet. And I think that, more stuff needs to come out from government officials, from people that have a huge following, more concrete stuff. We're kind of caught in this loop and of we keep punting the ball on this in one way or another. And it's and a lot of people are guilty of that. It's not one person or the other. And it makes you wonder, right? Why? Why do we keep, and you alluded to this a little bit beforehand. It's with the Epstein files, right? Yeah. We're going to release the Epstein files. We're going to release the Epstein files. And a lot has been released. I'll give Trump a lot of credit. Biden didn't release anything. Obama didn't release anything. Bush didn't release anything. These files Clinton didn't release anything. His activity spanned the course of many presidents, 5 presidents, right? They all could have released something, but it's really, Trump released more than anyone. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it is redacted. A lot of it is still redacted. And they say that there's still some very important documents that can sort of unlock a lot of mysteries that still loom over us.
What really interests me about Epstein specifically, is
I think I know where you're going with this.
His interest,
in
theoretical physics,
anti-gravity,
for lack of a better term, alternative propulsions, and his ranch. He placed it next to Los Alamos specifically because he wanted to target those scientists. Why is a guy like that so intrigued or interested? And for me, it's if you got a guy that's able, if he's the one, can we agree that the president is the most influential, powerful, public-facing person?
Public-facing, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Public-facing, right?
Yeah. In the world, for
if
sure.
this is the guy blackmailing that guy, who's he work for?
Right.
That's the deep state. And why are we not making this connection that maybe the same people that are blackmailing the president are also suppressing this kind of technology to keep the general population, because they see themselves as above us, clearly with their actions, with children, with, even adult-aged people who, we don't know what the consensual
nature of their
what
happened,
interactions
were.
But the way that they viewed the common person was absolutely below them.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this is, still exists only in the land of speculation, so to speak. Obviously Epstein had blackmailing a lot of people. Was Trump one of them? Who knows? But I mean, he's dead now. He obviously can't speak for himself.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, that's I was gonna say. Yes. Some people think he's not.
You
right?
see that Palm Beach Pete guy?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I know that
He's
guy.
already got a cameo.
Eerily similar.
People
similar.
are paying that. So again,
Yeah.
problem with society, right?
Yeah.
People are paying that guy
To act
do
like Epstein.
cameos.
Yeah.
Overnight, he grew 100,000 followers, and I'm like, just blew me out of the water with one day.
Yeah. It's disgusting when you think about it, because it's like
our
they're
society-
obviously paying him to act like Epstein, and it's like you see all these, and I'm sure you get them and I get them, like all these memes with Epstein on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, and he's kind of getting glorified in some ways, and people are sort of pushing this narrative out there that no one's really that upset with what Epstein did, because we all kind of like wish to like be like an Epstein type of figure, like have all these connections with rich and famous people, and it's like
I'd be careful there
yeah
because we don't want to all be like Epstein.
no, I know, but I'm saying that there are attempts on social media. Social media is being used to push that
to
narrative.
dampen
Yeah.
what he really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. No,
'Cause
right.
Someone
just-
might clip that.
No.
and be like, look, Joe Hoxha wants to be
No.
Epstein.
To be clear, I'm going. What I'm saying is, to your point of they're using this guy, whatever his name is, St. Petersburg Pete or whatever, or Tampa Pete, whatever they call him. Yeah,
Palm Beach Pete.
Palm Beach Pete. There you go. The reason he's famous is because he looks like Epstein, and the reason he's on Cameo is because people are requesting him to basically act like he's Epstein and give them a happy birthday message. Why would you want to do that? This guy is a pedophile.
The same society that allows OnlyFans,
Right.
but then looks down on the women that exploit the game. And of course we're going, different.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little story.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. Interesting
Now,
character.
Very, very interesting character. Now, there is this story that just like Epstein, Ghislaine also had helpers, hands, but she only wanted a specific type of person.
I know.
Norwegian,
Yeah.
like blonde-haired, blue-eyed. And a couple of the guys that were working for her had noticed that after they'd like take showers, the hair would be missing from the drain.
Yeah.
What does that sound like?
Sounds like some sort of
Eugenics.
Eugenics, yeah.
Sounds exactly like that.
Yeah.
And so, again, pardon me for trying to see the big picture here.
Yeah.
But as bad as what Epstein did is, I need to know what else that guy was doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I need, and you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be political about it. I'm not trying to keep giving limelight to a guy like that. But there is something there. There's a there.
He exposed the dark underbelly of some levels of our society that, again, what I was getting to before, we assumed was going on. But now, like, we have the proof to, like, as clear as day. Like, a lot of these conspiracy theories that were once conspiracy theories about child sex rings and elites of all levels, whether political, whether Hollywood, whether businessmen, were, all these people, the theories, former theories, were that these people were involved in child sex rings and
Like satanic cults.
and child sex rings. And before the release of these documents, as imperfect as they've been, the release of them has now given us definitive proof that these things exist and that they're international.
Yeah.
And that they're multi-layered, and that like you brought up with Ghislaine Maxwell and her, her background and her father and all that stuff. And it's like, who was really Batman and who was really Robin? It's a bad analogy because Batman was a good guy, but who was really you know, the
get
lead
you.
and who was the henchman in that relationship between Epstein and
Who's the agent? Who's the asset?
and Maxwell, right? Exactly.
Right? And
But she's just as much to blame.
yeah, her father, and then they're the one that, every textbook has their name on it, right?
I've heard of this. Yeah.
They're putting history into the schools, and it's bizarre to me when you start looking at all of it and you go, wait, what? What is going on?
And these are facts. Like, we don't even need to have an opinion about these things. They just exist as facts.
Right. And, again, I apologize, but it's something I can't look away from.
Absolutely. And, and I have this thing that I've started saying, because I'm a pretty like outspoken person in public, not just in private as well. Like, I don't really have like a demeanor I switch to when I'm like in my job as like a legislator. I like say whatever I want to say, and I post whatever I want to post. And I always can back up everything I post, because I always ask myself this question. How did we get to the point in society that calling out the thing which is egregious somehow becomes more egregious than that thing which is egregious?
Right.
Like pointing to something and saying, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have been abducting children and forcing them to have sex for rich people and with rich people, and for their amusement and gratification. And, oh, no, well, you can't talk about that. It's like so jarring to even talk about. Yes, I know it is.
I'm going to have to bleep it.
Yeah. Oh.
Just so it doesn't get... But that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to bleep this just to get it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And did you see this? This is kind of off topic here, but did you see California's trying to pass this Stop Nick Shirley Act? They did. So it criminalizes investigative journalism.
Yeah.
Specific. It's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
Really,
and it makes you wonder.
What timeline are we on?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, at some point you're going to have to say, well, there's probably a strong possibility that this thing is a duck. And what I mean by that analogy is that, like, if it smells like corruption, if it sounds like corruption, if it looks like corruption, that probably means your government, certain elements of your government are acting in a corrupt way here. Mm-hmm. And if you're shutting somebody down like Nick Shirley, who I know very little about, I know that he was the guy from Minnesota exposing the Somalian daycare fraud and stuff. And it's like, okay, he exposed something that was a crime. And it's like, if he's going around and he's trying to expose things and he falls flat, and he's going after something where there's no there, then that will also come to the light, and people will say, well, he was wrong there. He went after some things or some people or whatever that were innocent. So, he
but
gets
he's
points.
Still protected by his Second Amendment right.
First Amendment.
I'm sorry, First Amendment right. Sorry.
He may use the Second Amendment to protect his First Amendment.
Woo! Guns on the mind.
Oh yeah. Where's your mind?
No. So and by the way, shout out Nick Shirley. Keep doing what you're doing, kid.
Yeah.
You're 21.
Is he really? He looks older than that.
You're 21.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like the change that could be brought. But what he's exposing. Again, I always have this like full circle when I bring something up, because if he's able to find billions in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah.
You don't think that the black programs, Lockheed Martin, that they're not also charging $800 for a nail?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That stuff was happening a long time ago.
There
was actually a famous case. I mean, you may vaguely remember this because we're around the same age. During there was some sort of like audit done during the either Afghanistan or Iraq war. And there was like a company that was like selling like the Department of Defense like special washers for like $100,000 a piece, like a washer, right? Like, I don't know how special a washer can get. Maybe it was made out of like element 115 or something. I don't know, but for like $100,000 a piece, and like they were getting away with it for really long until they finally got busted. And it's like, I'm sure there's tons of those types of stories, and and that's not the sort of like fraud that Nick Shirley's going after per se. But like, I'll even give you an example with Connecticut, and this isn't technically fraud, but like in the budget, there's, we're all familiar with the term pork spending or pork barrel spending, where, politicians,
up.
exactly, will throw all sorts of stuff for their districts in a budget. In Connecticut, we call those rats. Whatever. It's a more fitting term, actually, I think.
It sure is.
And you'll look at all these things, and individually, they're anywhere between $200,000 to $1 million. But when you have hundreds of them, they add up, especially in a small state like Connecticut. And we have a lot of money. We're a rich state, parts of the state.
But you're now fighting that because you're like, oh, wait, where is all the money?
Yeah. But here, and let me give you some examples. So look, this is how ridiculous it is. And it's going to be really hard to believe. But if you look at our last budget that we passed, in there is money for a club known as Jeep Owners of America. Like literally a recreational club, like a club of Jeep enthusiasts are getting taxpayer dollars. There's ethnic-based organizations, Indian Americans, Bengali Americans, all sorts of things. Wonderful people. I love the Indians. I love the Bengalis. But you shouldn't be getting taxpayer dollars to throw your festivals. You raise the money, raise the money and throw your festivals like everybody else does,
Literally.
But but you could track it. You could see who is advocating for certain groups. All sorts of LGBT groups that are getting money, all these things can exist, but why are you getting taxpayer dollars? And then when you add them all up, Tyler, it's all like, it's like millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's just the low hanging fruit. The stuff that's like ingrained or like webbed in, other departments and under other bills and things like that. That's where the real like juicy end of the wasteful spending is. Yep. Even if it's not to the level of something that would be classified as corruption, it's still wasteful spending. And, this isn't, the time or place to talk about that. But, the point is that we have created this huge, like Eisenhower said, military industrial state at the federal level.
I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah. And that it's only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's the thing, and this is the thing that I've always been afraid of, but I think it's happened, even before I was born, is that military industrial state I think has gotten into the private economy, has gotten its nails into the private economy, into our national economy here, so far deep that like you can't just cut it out now, because if you do, then you don't know, like, let's say you work a factory job and you're just, a simple, assembly line worker, let's say, whatever. You're making a part that goes into something. Well, that something may be bought by another company who then sells it to the government, and it's all interconnected. And if you cut the head off of all this money that is going into the private sector from the federal government for defense spending, you're killing thousands and millions of jobs potentially.
And then you're the bad guy.
Because you've just caused a massive recession and depression maybe, and people are losing their jobs and they can't pay their bills.
It's an inherent issue.
Yeah.
It's an inherent issue.
It's almost lost. Like there's no way to win that battle yet. The military industrial complex has already won. Yeah. Because now, like you said, you're the bad guy if you try to do something about it, because it will have negative ramifications.
Right. I got to ask.
Yeah.
Do you believe Bob Lazar?
Yeah, I believe him. Personally, I believe him. I look at him and I've never once seen him. I've never really, like, I'm not going to pretend to be like an expert, like body language reader or anything like that, but just my gut feeling when I look at somebody's face and the way they express themselves, I've never once like read any insincerity in his face or in what he's saying. And his story has stayed so consistent, at least that I know of. Maybe somebody has picked up a discrepancy here and there. I mean, listen, if you ask me to retell my how I got into the UFO, field story, there's going to be some discrepancies, obviously. But he just comes off as a sincere individual. And the fact that if you look at the new UFO, the new S4 documentary. It's called S4.
S4,
yes.
The Bob Lazar story.
Exactly.
Luigi Venditti, he's coming on the show. So
cool.
He
did a great job.
Project Gravatar, very, very, very talented. Yeah. Like, so I saw the thing they keep referencing in that documentary, like the the VR headset.
Yes. Yeah.
I
yeah.
put that on,
Yeah.
and you're in the hangar.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Wild.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. That's all it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh no, we need to show people because like we can't just like expect everyone to have reality goggles."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was cool, but they were like, "We need to be able to show this to people. This
Yeah.
is something next level."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but yeah, so getting back to that, the reason why I believe him, part of the reason why I believe him is in that documentary S4. They talk about, I think it was George Knapp. We were just talking about him, that he tried to either get does Los Alamos even exist anymore?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. So he tried to call like a few different places to see if they could give them confirmation that Bob worked there. And I think the only place that gave him some sort of confirmation was like this like staffing agency who said that like gave him some
they were headhunters.
Headhunters, yeah, that gave him some sort of confirmation that yes, there was a Bob Lazar here, and we like referred him over to S4 or not S4, Los Alamos.
EG&G.
EG&G. There you go. Yes. And S4 is obviously a military base. I wouldn't refer him over to that, and which is a part of Area 51, right? S4.
Yeah. So S4 is a sector
Of
of
Area 51,
Area 51, Groom Lake.
Yes, yes.
But it's up by Papoose Lake
Yes.
is where S4 is.
Yes.
So that's where allegedly he worked.
Right.
And I mean, like you said, consistent.
Really
Hasn't made money off
No.
of the UFO topic. People will fly him to do
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't consider that making money.
No.
It's like, but this community labels, anytime money gets involved,
Yeah.
you're a grifter.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, we're throwing that word around just like we throw whistleblower around. Right?
Yeah,
We like
yeah,
these
yeah.
buzzwords in this community.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You can't just be a witness. You have to be a whistleblower.
Right,
Right? You
right,
can't
right.
just be a researcher. You have to be the foremost expert. Right?
Right. Exactly.
So
exactly.
We love that kind of stuff. But Bob, I get that same feeling.
Yeah. And, there's been a few documentaries that have been made about him, and I've seen all of them. And like we were saying, the story stays pretty consistent. And with this latest one, and I found this to be really interesting. And I suppose it's something that, can be explained or, if anybody wanted to sort of doctor this type of thing, they could. But at the end of it, and you've seen the documentary, they show like where the hangars were supposedly, and they did something with the lighting, and once they like dimmed it down enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you bring that up?
Yeah.
Look up
Yeah.
Look up S4 Bob Lazar. Damn, what would we look up?
It was
Bob Lazar S4 Bob Lazar aerial photos.
Yes, the hangars in the mountains.
So what? And I'll tell the story. So during COVID, someone got.
Yep.
No, these aren't them. No. Yeah. Well, while they're pulling that up, you'll see it. It looks like a brown grid.
Yeah, and then when he did something with the contrast on the photo, and it exposed the brown grids, the four hangars.
Keep going.
Yeah, I don't.
Keep looking.
Yeah, these are like maps.
We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, I don't want to waste too much time.
Yeah,
I'll
but-
overlay it.
Yeah.
But there's these pictures that show, and when during COVID, a private pilot got clearance to fly over the base.
Okay.
And he had a powerful Nikon with him. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Right? And they granted him access.
Yeah.
To fly over the base. And he just tick, 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 just picture after picture after picture after picture.
Yeah.
And he put them all out. And then no one ever saw anything. Right? Because it's meant to blend into the side of a mountain.
Exactly. And
It's meant to be hidden.
Yeah.
And they discover all of a sudden that, if you adjust the contrast, all of a sudden you make out this, 6 hanger, and the first one's bigger, just like Lazar described.
Yeah.
Because that was where the sport model was. So it was interesting. And then there's all these tracks in Papoose Lake.
Yeah, I did see
right?
that too.
And
yeah.
they say there's nothing out there. So
Yeah.
why are all these tracks out there? Why is there one road out to Papoose Lake, a dry lake bed? If there's nothing out there,
Yeah.
So all these questions are raised.
Yes.
I will say.
Yeah.
So you believe Bob Lazar?
I do. I think I believe him. He comes off very sincere. I think he even says at the end of the documentary that if he could go back and never talk about this, that he would do that, and that this has caused nothing but grief to him and his wife and his personal life, and and it's funny, like when you look at the things that they like try to like smear him on, it's like, no record of him here, no record of him there. Listen, if and I've spoken to government officials at that level, if the government wants you erased, we saw what Stalin did in the Soviet Union. Why wouldn't the United States government have the ability to like remove you from like records in schools and things like that, especially pre-digital age, right? Where things are only on paper, and paper could be our friend and could also be our foe. In the sense that it makes it easier for those interested in erasing you. It makes it that much easier, but also friend, because a physical copy of something could be in the possession of anyone, whereas something that only exists on the internet can be deleted, and once it's deleted for everyone, unless you've like downloaded an image or something like that. But like, and that's where like he had like a newspaper that mentioned him in the sort of like the employee
it
directory.
referred to him as a physicist at Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Yeah.
And that was the article that Ed Teller was reading when he was it Ed Teller? I'm right here, right? Ed Teller was given a speech.
Okay.
And that's who ended up referring him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Am I right?
I believe so.
Okay, because I'm like, am I crazy? Well, it was Ed Teller that was giving the speech, right? But that's interesting. Do you have a favorite like UFO case?
Favorite UFO case?
Like one that when you hear, you're like, that one happened.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the one that I reference a lot because I always try when I talk about this subject to a normie, right? Like, me and you, we're not normies.
Yes,
yeah,
we are not.
There are plenty of normies out there. The one that I try to use the most, and I've used this with journalists that have called me from the AP, journalists that have called me from local publications and things like that. I'm like, just look at this one case. If you don't believe anything else, but just look at this one case. Arizona, the lights over Phoenix, 1997.
My man.
You look at this one case. You had thousands of, probably the most widely seen UFO sighting, single UFO sighting ever. 27,000, 30,000 people witnessed this. And there's recordings of people like giving their, eyewitness testimony from all walks of life. And then the very next day, the governor of Arizona, Fife Symington, gets on stage and has one of his staffers dressed up like in an alien costume. And trying to make a
light of the
situation, as is common. And then 10, 15 years later, guess what? He goes on camera and
with James Fox. Yeah.
With James Fox. Is that who it was?
Yep.
And he fesses up that
he saw it.
He not only did he see it, but the reason why he chose to cover it the way he did was because he was so stunned at what he saw that like almost like his fight or flight kicked in, and he was like, but not fight or flight, like make light of it or give it life. Giving it life would be talk about it in a serious way and really tell people how you felt, which was that he was astounded the same way everybody else was that witnessed this, but he chose.
And he's a pilot.
He's a pilot, and he was the governor of Arizona.
Yeah, so he was like trained in like knowing flight, what flew and what didn't. He was like that.
A smart guy.
He called it a spaceship.
Yeah.
He's like, that was a spaceship. And that people, I find that to be that one of the most incredible cases.
Oh, yeah. And I just tell people, look, this is like, imagine our governor in Connecticut, Governor Lamont.
Yeah.
Right? That's his name. I forgot who you guys have up here, but you had Charlie Baker. And imagine him.
I think it's Michelle.
It's someone else now.
Forgettable.
But just imagine like a normal, like, politician, like on the state level. Doesn't even need to be federal, but somebody important on the state level. Like, can you actually imagine this? Like, Trump has an experience, right? And, he's been beating around the bush on this issue. And, we have some stuff we're going to release and this, that, and whatever. But imagine he, one day, has a press conference
He's out golfing at
He's out golfing.
Mar-a-Lago,
And he says,
whatever.
yeah, and he goes, I saw a spaceship, or I saw lights, I saw a V-shaped formation. Nowadays, we've become so desensitized, not just because of him, but because of just social media and like what we were talking about before, all the content that exists out there, that we may see something like that and may go, this is like shock content, or this is like, supposed to be something funny. Like, not everybody will have that same synchronous reaction,
right,
where they're all like, what did this guy just say? Like, not everybody may have the same reaction, right?
The visceral, guttural.
Exactly.
Wait, what?
Because of the nature of the times that we live in, that like some people may see that and go, oh, he's just trying to be funny again. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, this is just, a joke, right? But back then there was that didn't really exist. There was the real world. There was no social media world.
Right.
And you have the governor of the state getting on camera and making a joke about this. Everybody that didn't see it themselves thought it was a joke.
Yep.
Then now, I forgot when the video came out. I think 7 years ago or something like that, 2019, 2018 maybe. He comes out and he says, I felt the same way everybody else felt. I was in utter shock at what I was witnessing, and I'm paraphrasing whatever, I don't know exactly the words he used. You could look it up. But he basically admits to just having felt the same thing everybody else felt when they saw that. And, but that's not what he portrayed to the world. And that's the part that, like, I think, is the most interesting. And even for somebody that's a quote unquote normie, we use that term, as sort of lightheartedly. But you show that to somebody, and if they're willing to try to digest the point you're making, it should make them. It should resonate. It should make them go, "Oh, no. Holy shit!" Like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, this guy was the governor of Arizona, made light of it, and then fessed up 15 years later and said that, like, he actually believed it to be what everybody else believed it to be, an actual UFO sighting.
Yeah. And not only he didn't even say UFO. He said it's a spaceship.
Yeah.
It's not of this world. Like, it's a pretty, like, stern descriptor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, that case, I'm in contact with Dr. Lynn Katai. She got like the famous footage and pictures of it.
Oh, and Lights Over Phoenix?
Yeah, she made she funded the documentary about it. Yeah, so she's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
I hope to have her on soon. But moving forward, you talked earlier about ancient aliens.
Yeah.
Now, I know everyone laughs when it's almost like comical. I agree, to like that, because we all think of the show, right?
Yeah.
And the show's gone 17 goddamn seasons, like 18 goddamn, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, that they've had to stretch, right? They had to
there's
stretch
that component of that.
component. But do you think it's crazy to think that we've always been in contact with something?
No, I don't think it's crazy to think that. And I consider Ancient Aliens, the show, a very credible source of information, because again, it's a show that's presenting established findings. It has professionals speaking it has professionals speaking on the show about certain things, scientists. They're using historical facts and documents. They're just packaging it into this thing called Ancient Aliens with some vibrant characters that are the hosts. But again, the stuff that they're talking about, it's like we were talking about before, just because something comes from the internet, you don't automatically disqualify it as, oh, that's garbage because it came from the internet, because everything is on the internet, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So it's like Ancient Aliens is absolutely a valid show to get good information on the UFO topic, because all they're doing is aggregating all these, cases and documents.
Even take the show and put it aside.
Yeah.
The actual, like, base theory.
Yeah. Oh, right.
The actual base theory, because the problem I have with Ancient Aliens is I think they go a little too far in saying that, like,
because everything
everything's alien,
right.
but like things like the pyramids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The precision, the astronomical, the mathematical, like this idea that in almost every culture, every civilization, they talk about beings that descended from the sky and taught them civilization, essentially agriculture, mathematics, astronomy. It seems that we all across the globe were seeing the same thing almost as early as time itself.
Yeah, no, exactly. For me, the biggest piece of evidence, in my opinion, is forget it. When I say evidence that is not like actual footage or eyewitness testimony, I'm talking about historical evidence.
Yeah.
Before the time of cameras and photographs. The biggest piece of evidence for me is the cave paintings.
Yeah.
And we're talking about paintings that are predate civilization, like caveman times, like when we didn't have like real civilization. And there's depictions of flying objects, of people in spacesuits, and then fast forward, thousands of years later, medieval paintings of Christian figures, Jesus himself, and crafts above his head.
Baptism of Christ
Yes.
as a UFO right at the top of it.
Yep, exactly.
Right? And then there's that. I mean, a lot of the, like you said, that period, the medieval period, it was almost like, because again, the church at the time, they're judge, jury, and executioner.
Oh yeah.
Right. So art, that's a way you could hide what you were seeing, but also document it.
Right.
Right. It's the sun. Right.
Right. Or
but
a star or an angel.
But it's like got this light that's descending onto Jesus as he's being baptized.
Yeah.
It's
And then there's like those drawings where like there's humans in like these crafts, these like intricate crafts. Yeah. It's not like it's a human on a cloud, it's a human in a craft. Like it's got like a steering wheel and it's got like things around it. Like 100%. It's not a cloud. And all these people that try to like, cope and say that it's clouds or it's something that they could, wedge into their all pre-existing paradigm. It's not. It is what it is. And there are some pictures where there are clouds and you could say, okay, those could be clouds. But there's ones where they're clearly not. And that's the point. Why were people, thinking to draw these things before
anything flew?
And
like, I mean, strip down like a dragon, right?
Yeah.
Strip down a dragon and bring it to the base, right? If we didn't have a word, right? If the closest thing we had to flying object was dragon, right? That's how they're going to describe them. And a fire-breathing dragon, what does that sound like to you? Sounds like a modern-day rocket blowing fire out the back.
Yeah.
It's a dragon, right?
Yeah.
So I think language is particular. Yeah. And again, I think with improper translation, a lot can get lost. So that's why I do think like some of these tribes that are uncontacted or like the Dogons, where
that's really interesting. I love that one.
We'll have to have another.
On some specifics.
Yeah, because I see we're coming up on time here. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have?
No, that's pretty much it. I think we covered everything.
Covered a lot of ground.
Oh yeah, Epstein.
What's next?
Yeah.
For you, and what do you want to see happen as far as disclosure?
So yeah, that's a good question. And one that I don't know the answer to. Honestly, I don't know if we're ready for disclosure as a society, as a race of.
Not everyone says that.
Yeah, I don't think we are. I mean, because I have these conversations lightheartedly, not as intense as we've gone here, obviously, with a lot of people, and especially now, like people actually come to me. And they come to me from every sort of level of this subject, from some pretty intense, perspectives like what we've discussed here, to some pretty casual, like we said, normie sort of like views on this, like, oh, little green men, And I just get the sense that like very few people can have really grasped the seriousness of the implications of what it would mean if we really had disclosed to us that we are truly not alone, and that the things that we've been seeing have actually been other life forms, other intelligent life. I don't feel confident enough that we can grasp that. Like, we literally could have like a full on like panic, dystopian level collapse of society, I think.
You think?
Oh yeah. I don't think that we're, as humans, I mean, look how like weak we are, like in so many respects. Like, we still fight these wars, and, the smallest differences, result in conflict. Like, really, like, I to be honest, I don't think we're ready. We're not ready. If this is real, we're not ready as a whole to digest this.
Honestly, I respect the fact that you're willing to say that.
Yeah.
And still willing to pass a bill like you did.
To pursue it. Yeah.
Because most people sit in that chair and they go, we're ready. Because they want us to be ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that we are.
I want us to be ready too, but I don't know that we are. But if I could do my little part in at least offering a scientific way of analyzing whatever we see, and, maybe putting some people at ease as far as experiences that they may have had in Connecticut that can be explained by a study of this nature. And if nothing else, like I said, just bring more awareness to the topic and show people it's being taken seriously by the government.
Isn't it funny? I mentioned this on the phone to you.
Yeah.
The enemy of the UFO
Yeah.
conspiracy world has always been the government.
Yeah.
But the only way confirmation comes is from the government.
From the government, yeah.
It just seems inherently conundrumic.
Yeah.
I think I made up a word again.
Like a quagmire.
Yeah,
like
it's inherently a
like
conundrum.
a catch-22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
because I don't need disclosure. I've seen things.
Right. Yes, you were going to tell me.
I was.
Yeah. Do we have time?
We'll end it here.
Okay.
So I was young, outside, throwing a ball, waiting for the other kids to get home from school. My audience is going to be like, dude, I don't want to fucking hear this story again. I look up, gunmetal gray, craft, oscillating, moving forward, treetop level. No mistaking what it is. I didn't have a right frame of reference for that type of craft. I lived next to Hanscom Air Force Base, and I grew up next, during 9/11.
Yeah.
I knew what flew and what didn't. This thing should not have flown.
Here in Massachusetts?
Yep, dead silent, Billerica, Mass, right next to Hanscom.
Billerica, yeah.
And at the time, a Raytheon.
Yes.
Raytheon's in that area. So I see the craft. I run in. I tell my mom. She's like, you saw a UFO. Brings me to the library the next day, yada, yada, yada. Move on in life. I end up going a different direction, right? I'm not happy with that direction. Something's off, Then I get sober. Things start to clear up a little bit. I had an issue with drinking. Yeah. And, my mom passed, but she got to see me sober for a couple of years, which is, for me, that's everything. That's the most proud of myself that I've ever been, is that she got to see it all the way through, because she was there during the bad, right? She was always there, and she always remains there.
Yeah,
it's weird, but
yeah.
I'm in the room with her. I come back, and I'm not happy with things. I'm in the right place. She's like, she knows podcasting's like, she's like, you found it. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
She saw it lit me up, but she's like, you'll find the top, because she knew I wasn't happy with what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Inherently, she knew what path I was supposed to be on. It's this one. And so I'm in the room when she passes of breast cancer, and man, I can't explain it, but just a little ball of, you ever look down a highway on a hot day?
Yeah.
That.
Yep. Like a
dispersion.
mirage effect. Yeah.
So a soft, the 8 ball.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
About that size. It's hilarious. The 8 ball size of that just crosses my field of vision and hooks an L So I saw it. It wasn't like something like in my eye that, like you get those floaties.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those because this thing turned. And then I saw the depth field. Like, when something makes a L,
Yes.
you can now you're seeing it move away.
Yeah.
So it's cross and then it's moving away. And it goes out the window, boom, up. Or at least I lost it outside the window because I'm colorblind and it didn't, I don't know.
What color was it?
I don't know. It didn't emit a color. I'm colorblind to a degree.
Oh, okay.
So
You saw it as like light.
I just saw it as it looked like light bent around it.
Oh, okay.
But my mom was there. She was there.
Yeah.
Like just like you're there, I
Yeah.
can see that you have a conscious spirit right now.
Yeah.
You're in there.
Yeah.
I watched this thing go by. I look back, and then my mom's gone, and I close her eyes. I never put meaning to it.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it for like a year because I thought I was crazy. But that day, Total Disclosure was born.
Yeah. Wow.
I held her hand and I was like, I will find out. And I feel like it was her last get on the right track.
Yeah.
Boom. So she was the common denominator in both of my experiences.
Yeah.
So it's weird, like the dichotomy of like what you went through.
Yeah.
Right? Not saying your mom just brushed it off. but
Right.
My mom almost embraced it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? She handed me Whitley Strieber's communion. Like,
Oh, really?
she was that girl, right?
Yeah.
Took us to church one time, brought us out, and she goes, "You guys want to go back?" We said no, and we never went back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she let us go.
Decide your own journey, yeah.
So wherever she is, she's the highest picture in the studio because she's always
I see
always
that,
there. Her ashes are up there as well, and she's always right here. I've brought her into Congress,
Yeah.
the halls
wow.
of Congress,
Yeah.
to watch UFO people testify.
Yeah.
We've done some amazing things together post-mortem.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's the light that guides my
That's good. Yeah.
guide. She's my North Star.
Yeah.
My North
That's
Star.
awesome. Yeah, that's
So
an amazing story.
where can people find you? Where can people keep up with what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so you could find me on like Facebook. Just
Joe Hoxha?
Yeah, Joe Hoxha on Facebook.
I'll put the links in the description.
You could email me. I would love to get actually emails on my legislative, like through my legislative email, because that way, it's like an official. You're reaching out to me in my official capacity, and I can use that as.
And we can put that
fuel.
email out.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay,
It's public
yeah.
information. It's joe.hoxa at cga.ct.gov. So for those international listeners, the .gov makes it like totally legit.
Yep.
So if that's how like I'm actually working with in government.
Yeah. I will put that link in the description below.
Yeah, please
And,
send me emails.
Anything coming up that anyone should be aware of?
So the bill will pass because, and I don't want to jinx it, but because, like I said, it's an appropriations bill. It's basically going to get baked into the budget.
Okay.
And the budget's going to pass because it's the budget. It's how we fund the government. So we will have this money. We will spend it. So we may create a website. We'll probably definitely create like I'm working with a group called the Disclosure Foundation. They're a non-for-profit.
I am very familiar.
Oh, okay, good. They're out of Connecticut. A couple guys, reached out to me, and I see.
That's ironic.
You really?
It's just
I'm
very
sorry, I
ironic.
forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to be taking up a piece of this endeavor, so to speak. So we'll be on social media and everything. I'm sure we'll have like a page, a website to report anything and to interact with the public. So you're going to hear more, and I'll send you whatever you need to get it out there.
Well, we'd love to have you back.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to continue doing this, and maybe next time we could bring another person in.
Yeah.
Do whatever. But you have an open invite, my friend.
Thank you, Tyler.
And
Appreciate it. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting all you guys.
And everyone out there listening or watching, thank you. We couldn't do it without you, and I don't know if I would want to. I definitely would, actually. But without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Please, if you can, like, share, subscribe. You already have your phone in your hand. Don't be lazy. It takes 20 seconds. Rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you can, take a step further and join our membership for early and ad-free access. Thank you so much to producer Jane, to Jess on the keys, and to Lissa doing the background notes. The team has been doing a great job, and I just want to say thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Truly, it's been a process giving up control. I was a one-man show for years,
I'm sure,
many years. So I have a tough time letting go of reins.
We
But
got a really good crew here.
yeah, so we've been doing this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you.
This is great. This was great. Thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank
all
you.
right, and we're out. See you guys on the other side.